Hello. So the actual last thing that I wanted to talk about that I totally didn't forget to talk about until just now, is exporting your substance materials for use in Engine. Um, so once we're happy with everything that we got going on here, you can go to File and Export Textures, and then here it'll give you your um, global settings. So if you only have one set um, texture set for your mesh, you will only have this one, but it will allow you to choose all of the different texture sets that you want to export and the output directory where you are exporting them. By default, it's going to put it in your Adobe Substance 3D Painter export folder. Your output template is Unreal Engine 4. That's fine. That's how we started it. We want to make sure our file type is PNG and it's 8-bit. The size is based on the texture set size, which we have. I've preset this to 4K, but it'll be whatever your project settings have set as. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to worry about exporting a USD asset. We don't need that for import into Unreal. If you want to go through a bunch of templates here for all the other different engines and things that you might use it for, which actually I didn't realize this had a preset for Amazon Lumberyard, so that's cool. Unity, Unreal Engine, CryEngine, stuff like that. Go ahead and you can look at that, but we are already preset to Unreal Engine 4. So then we can click export, and you'll watch that. I think I actually did explain this in a previous week, but once this is exported, it will export your 4 different major file PNGs that we actually need for importing into our projects in Unreal, which are your base color, your emissive, your normal, and your what's called RMA or ORM, depending on the nomenclature that you are used to, but it includes your ambient occlusion, your roughness, and your metallic. And then now that those are exported, you can click on this button to open your output directory and see them. So I have a bunch of stuff in here. I probably should have cleaned this up before I did this, but so here's our scooter. We have our base color, our normal, and our RMA. I don't think there was any emissive for this. If we had added emissive, then that would have shown up as well. But now this is ready to import into Unreal Engine. So I'm going to do that real fast as well. Give me 1 second. Okay, so real fast, just to go over this again, we are in our Epic Games launcher, the Unreal Engine option, and the library tab, where we are going to launch, depending on which version of Unreal you actually want to use. I'm just going to say to go ahead and launch the 5.4.4, which is the most recent one. And then this is going to open up as it does, and this might take a little while, so let's skip ahead. All right, now that we have the engine open, it's not really important where we, for this example, where we put it, but I'm going to open up a third-person project. I'm just going to call it Substance Test, and we're going to create it. Okay. Now that, sorry for the jumping around, jump cuts and everything. It just takes a long time for Unreal to open a project for the first time. So now that we are inside of Unreal, what we're going to do is we're going to add our, go to our content here. We're going to add our mesh and materials. So I'm going to create a new folder, and we're going to call this Scooter. And then inside of that, I'm going to make a folder, and we're going to call that Textures. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to import our Scooter low poly. This is a static mesh, which means it doesn't have a skeleton, so we don't need to check skeletal mesh. The only other thing we need to check is combined meshes. If your mesh has more than one, like if your complete FBX file has more than one mesh in it, if you don't check that, it'll import them all as separate meshes, and then you'll have to manually combine them in the engine. That's bad. Just check off the combined meshes, and it will import the entire thing as a single static mesh. You might get this warning here about no smoothing groups. It wouldn't happen because we don't need to worry about smoothing groups because we didn't actually set that up in the file. So now we can look at our scooter. There it is. But it doesn't have any of its materials on it. That's fine. So what we're going to do is if I shrink this page here, so it has a single material slot for its Lambert 1. If you remember, that's the texture group and substance, and the one material we gave our low res or low poly mesh in Maya. So if I open up my textures folder and we're going to import. All right, so then I found it. It's in the same folder that I showed you earlier. So we want our scooter base color, normal, and occlusion, roughness metallic, or RMA, or ORM, depending on your nomenclature. If you hold shift and click on all three of them and then open, it'll open all three and it'll import them as textures. If you look at these individually, it's just a complete texture map. Here is our normal map where you can see all of the detail was added to that. And then here is our ORM. What we're going to do is we're going to take these and add these to our scooter Lambert. So if you double click on the material that's in the material slot, it will open it up separately. And then from here, we can add, I'm going to get this a little bit bigger so it's a little easier to see. If we shift click all three of our textures and we drag them into the material blueprint here, we can add these in. So if you have an emissive as well, that'll show up here. But what you're going to do is we can get rid of that, and this is your material, and all of the pins that plug into it change the different channels in that material. First thing you want to do is, because this is a static mesh that doesn't have any particular transparency or anything that is baked into it, our material domain is a surface. If you did have things like if you were making it a decal or a post-processing effect, this material, you would change that. But for the most part, you stick with surface, your blend mode, opaque. If you had transparency in your mesh, so if you had glass or similar things to that, you can use translucent, masked, or additive, depending on the effect you're going for. And what we're gonna do is, I guess you could also your shading model default lit means it's going to take the lighting information from the scene and affect the lighting or affect the material with that lighting. So you just want to leave that. We're not going to get into a lot of really detailed things you can do in here because this is a blueprint and you can add all sorts of stuff to it through Unreal's blueprint system. But what we want to do is we just want to plug these in. So this one right here, this is our base color. It says base color. If we take our RGB, which is all three of our red, green, and blue channels, all of the color channels in a texture, and we click and hold to drag out a pin, and we plug that into our base color, and you'll see the update here. And now you can see it has color to it. If we take this is our normal. You can usually tell it's normal because it's mostly blue. We take our RGB pin there, drag it out, and plug it into our normal. And now you can kind of see it's getting that height and texture to it. And then if we take our RMA or our ORM or whatever, now this one's a little bit tricky, and I will keep a referring back to this, I'll probably put a cheat sheet up for this one. So this one has individual channels that have individual data in them. So the first one we want to do is the R channel. The red channel is going to go into our ambient occlusion. The green channel, the G, is going to go into our roughness. And the B channel, the blue, is going to go into our metallic. So it's red, ambient occlusion, green, roughness, blue, metallic. And this is what this should look like. And you can see our material here. You may notice that it's a little bit shinier in engine than it is in substance. I've noticed this a lot with Substance Painter. It tends to translate your roughness and metallic a little bit harsh or a little bit higher, lower than it's meant to. And don't worry about that. I'm okay with it, but I can also show you real fast. What you would do is you would drag off of your green. You would hit search up multiplier. You can hit the Shift 8 to get yourself an asterisk, and then you pull up a multiply node. You plug that node into your roughness. That's where green is. And then you can multiply the green channel by a number. So if I multiply it by 2, it will increase the total roughness of your material. So it's if I made it 5, now it's like really flat. And you can do that with all of these nodes if you notice anything looks weird inside of the engine. But we don't need to worry about that right now. We're just going to plug our green right into our roughness. And then you're going to click the save button up here to save all of that. Once that's saved, we go back to our scooter, and there you go. The scooter is now set up in engine and ready to go. The last thing that you can do, and you can see all the detail in it. See all the detail with the height and everything, and there's our Charmander. And if the last thing that we're going to do here is I'll save this scooter, close this window down or minimize it, and then we're going to go to our scooter. I'm going to drag it right into our level. So there it is. And you can manipulate this however you want. If it's ready to, I don't think that this one's game ready because there's way too many polygons, but if it was game ready, then you can actually run the level, and there it is. And you can interact with it. All sorts of stuff. There's no actual code for me to interact with it, but it's there, and you saw I can run into it. But that's it. That's how you import a mesh and its materials into Unreal Engine. Again, when you go into the material, your base color goes into your base color, your normal goes into your normal, and your RGB in your RMA goes into red goes into ambient occlusion, green goes into roughness, and blue goes into metallic. And that's it. Now for real, I'll see you guys next week.